Hey guys, Zach here from Kubota Lynchburg. Today I wanted to go over the Kubota articulating loader lineup. So you can see a lot of them behind me here that we have the different articulating loaders. So these are often called wheeled loaders, but Kubota calls them the articulating loaders, which that I'm assuming is what the R stands for, because R articulating. But basically what they are is they're going to be used for loader work. There's no three-point hitch, there's no rear implements, although on the little 430 you could put a rear backhoe, but on most of these everything is going to be done with the front quick attach. And it's very good for multiple applications. So you can see I've got a couple different snow implements on the ones behind me because we're getting into the winter months here soon, and we're going to be going and pushing snow and running snow blowers and everything like that. They're very maneuverable compared to like a long tractor or a forklift or a gel loader or something like that. Since they pivot in the middle, it makes it a lot more maneuverable in tight areas. The front articulating loaders also have a longer reach than, let's say, a skid steer, because yes, technically a skid steer is going to be a smaller footprint. It's not going to be quite so long, but at the same time that's going to rip up a lot of ground and turf wherever you're loading, and you don't have the bucket so far out in front of your front base. So if you're scooping up a pile of dirt, if you're dumping into a dump truck, or you're picking up a pallet in between other pallets, having the extension of this loader arm makes it a lot easier to get into those tight, narrow areas, or actually raise and dump into a dump truck, because you can pull closer and dump into the middle of it rather than over the side. So that's a lot of what the articulating or wheel loaders are used for. A lot of lawn and landscape places that sell mulch, rock, dirt, gravel, that kind of stuff will use them on their property. A lot of our customers will use them for snow attachments and snow implements because it is a universal style quick attach. So on the front here, you do actually have that full skid steer universal style quick attach. On these bigger models, and especially the cab models, I order them in with the hydraulic cylinder on it. So as you're in the cab, you can actually detach and attach implements by pushing a single button. So we actually use this 640, not this exact one, but another one on our property for loading and unloading all of our trucks. So when we get stacks of land-side implements, stacks of Kubota tractors and lawnmowers, this is what we use to unload every single truck that comes in here. Because it can fit in tight areas, it can maneuver really easily, and it can reach onto those trucks or up into those trucks and pick up and move very easily. This is the ideal situation for us. And we have a lot of equipment, so a lot of tight areas to maneuver around, which is why this is so easy. We'll look into the cab next. It's where a lot of visibility and the controls are, and that's what makes it a very nice, comfortable machine to use. But again, keep in mind, this is universal. You could run bush hogs, you could run augers with it, you could run grapples with it for moving rocks and logs and stuff. Very versatile because it does already have the hydraulic quick couplers to it as well for these hydraulically driven implements. So, for turning the hydraulic rotation chute, we can plug it in and run those hydraulic implements on the front of these. So we're going to go check out the cab next and look at the controls and how comfortable it actually is on the Kubota lineup. So this is the interior of the cab R640, which is the basic interior of the cab R540 as well. So as we look at the interior here, we do have a very comfortable operator station. We'll sit down. We've got things like a tilt steering column. We've got things like standard knob on the steering wheel, which is nice for when you're doing those tight turns. You've got turn signals, windshield wipers, and everything like that. But as I kind of pan around, you will see we have very good visibility out of this cab. So this is the rear of it, and we scan all the way around. You can see the visibility in this cab is just excellent because those posts that are normally in the corners are just gone. So if you want to look out and see right to where you're backing up, you absolutely can do that. You've got all your controls and functions here on your right-hand side, and the nice thing that Kubota has done on these is they've put basically all your loader controls on this handle. So it's an ergonomic handle, so when you're using it for hours at a time, this is your forward and reverse button. This is going to activate your hydraulics, so if you're taking your coupler on and off, you actually use this button so you can activate your coupler on and off. Then you can run this thumb switch, and you can run your coupler. You can take that off, and now you can run your auxiliary hydraulics like your auger or your tilt snow blade or anything like that off of it. Of course, you have all of your extra auxiliaries, just like a skid steer. You can turn on your auxiliaries. It does have a load level on it as well. So as you're running your front end loader, you can have, it self-leveling, so it's easy to pick up. You've got all your light switches, and of course AC and heat and everything like that, which this model does have plenty of air vents. It's got defrost, air vents, it's got defrost and air vents there. And over here, of course, you have one of the most important things, your cup holder for holding your water, of course, is the only thing you'd ever put in there. But that is the nice, kind of very comfortable cab that you have on the 540 and the 640. And the best thing about it, in my opinion, is going to be that good visibility. Now, you can see right out the front as you're sitting here, you can watch your quick attach, you can watch your implements. We sit up high enough. It's got the load level indicator standard there right on the cylinder, so it's very easy to level your pallet forks. And again, it's a very, very large footroom area to it and very good visibility. So this is a little R430. This is the smallest size that Kubota makes. And I'll get into all the specs and weight differences here in just a second. But these are the smaller, a little bit more basic, a little bit more cost-effective models. They have about a 1.5 foot less of dump clearance, less lift capacity, less weight, but they are very maneuverable. So we do sell a couple a year simply for those small mulch and yardstone places that are going to be selling the smaller stuff and they just need to pick up lighter material. It still has your quick couplers. You have your hydraulic options or you have your manual options on it, which is what we do on the open stations to be price effective, running things like pallet forks. One of my favorite things about the little 430 is you can get in and out of either side. So if you're sitting on this side of the machine, you don't have to walk all the way around. On the new 540 series and 640 series, that's not the option. But again, if you're looking for maneuverability in tight spaces, but still to be able to pick up 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 pounds, this is the machine for you. We've got our open station model here, and then we've got our cab. And I'm going to look in the cab here real quick with you guys and show you the difference between the nice new 40 series cabs and the older 30 series cabs. So this is the cab on the 430. It's still comfortable seat, nice, but there's no armrest to it standard. Don't even know if that's an option. I'd have to look in the book. You have a little bit more basic of a setup. Again, there's no tilt steering column now on this model. Everything's a little bit more basic, a little bit more price effective. You do still have that excellent visibility, but because it's a little bit tighter machine, it's a little bit more difficult to actually see your quick couplers because the way that the arms are designed and everything, the way this cab is designed. You also have the older style cab to where you've got air vents up here and you've got your controls, but you have all this extra metal blocking your visibility. So again, luckily this machine is small enough that it is very easy to see around yourself, but it's the older style cab to it, and again, it's basically more cost effective. Still plenty of footroom, not quite as much as the larger machines. And you just have your basic loader controls here. None of that fancy stuff with 10 different buttons. You've got that. You've got your high and low range right here. This is going to control your hydraulic implements. But multiple things you'll have to do with your hands rather than one hand sitting on your controls running it all at once. Again, price effective, still very useful, not as fancy. So real quick on the rear of these machines, you can actually see how open that cab is. That this, this corner section is glass to glass. Very good visibility. On the back, you've got this pin for hauling equipment, pulling trailers, just pulling a stump out or whatever you need to. Attached to this cast steel rear bumper. When you back into something, which inevitably you will, it's going to hit this first and you're not going to damage anything. You're going to scratch the paint, big whoop, not a big deal on it. Ease of accessibility to service parts is something that is very nice on the new 40 series machines. You open this one hood and bonnet and you can get to everything. As some of you guys out there know, when you're working on construction equipment or bigger tractors, it's a nightmare to service or check stuff. They made this very, very easy. Everything you need to check, from engine oil to coolant to fuel filters and fuel drains and air filters. Probably the easiest machine on this entire property to service and work on, which is great. When you're putting 1,000 hours on it a year, you want to be able to service and check and maintenance it very easily. So that's all your fluids and filters and everything. Nice door. And then over here is your fuel and your fuses. Again, very easy. You have all your different fuses. It's all nicely labeled in there, and you've got access to your fuel for it. So it is very easy to access everything on this machine, which again, for those people running commercial stuff, that is very important to keep this up and running properly. So to compare the models real quick, you have the 430, the 540, and the 640. Basically, that's kind of going up by metric ton. So you have a 4 metric ton, a 5 metric ton, and a 6 metric ton. So you've got, basically an 8,500, 9,000 pound machine, an 11,000 pound machine, and a 13,000 pound machine as far as the cab models go. And each one is, of course, going to be a little bit different as far as lift capacities. Between the 540 and the 640, you do lose about 750 pounds of lift capacity going down to the 540. Your lift height and your pinch height is basically exactly the same. But with a heavier machine, of course, you're not going to have that back end coming off the ground when you're picking up those 5,000–6,000 pound loads. Speaking of lift capacity, there's 18 different specs for each one as far as rated operating capacity with forks and buckets. From personal experience using the 640 on the lot, and before the 640 we had the R530. That 640, again, 750,000 pounds more that you can pick up, and you feel a lot safer because it is a heavier machine. You're not bouncing up and down as much. I would say you can probably pick up about 6,000, 6,500 pounds without tipping that thing over, but it's going to be sketchy on the 640. On little 430s, you're probably going to be maxing out closer to the 3,000 to 3,500. You might be able to pick up 4,000 and move it, but again, it's going to be very sketchy. So, get the one that's best for you as far as weight categories. If you're hauling it around on a trailer, or if you're going into tight spaces, you might need a smaller one. If you're going to park it at a mulch yard, or you're going to park it at a construction site, you might want to go for that bigger one and just roll with it because it is going to be heavier and a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable to use. Now, everything is 100% built by Kubota. It's Kubota diesel engines. None of these have DEF fluid because the horsepower is less than 75 horsepower, and it's built with the Kubota care and quality. So these are high-end machines. There's plenty of other companies that do make these wheel loaders like Cat or Wacker or anything like that. As far as price point goes compared to those here recently, I've heard a couple different prices where Kubota is priced extremely competitive, honestly way less than the Wacker or the Cat machine, with a perfectly good quality machine with no known issues at this time. So as far as price and quality goes, Kubota is going to be one of the best wheel loaders out there. So talk to your local dealership if this is something that interests you. Of course, more specs are always available on the websites and online. Talk to your sales guys. They can help answer those. Or leave a comment here on this video and I'll be happy to help how I can.